So I had this whole game plan today. Over the past few days, I've been kind of taking it easy. I was pretty tired after E3, and then before E3, we had like tons of videos coming out on Fallout 76. But today, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get back in the swing of things, really get on that video grind. I wake up with a cold. Yeah, there's really no point in telling you that, but maybe if my voice sounds a little bit different, well, that's the reason. Either way, in this video, what I want to tell you guys about is actually a recent or not so recent interview from Pete Hines. He gave it to this company that I've never heard of. I believe it's a Swedish company. Their YouTube channel is called FZ.se. I will have a link to the full video and of course their channel down below if you guys want to check it out for yourselves, but he talks a lot about Fallout 76. This video seemingly flew way under the radar with only 2,000 views at the time of recording this. I was actually made aware of it by a Reddit post, and it's interesting for a number of reasons. First and foremost, there's a few things we find out from this interview that haven't been said anywhere else about Fallout 76, and in addition, Pete Hines hasn't really been doing the Fallout 76 interviews. He's been doing the interviews for things like Rage and a lot of the other more major Bethesda announcements, some of the Doom stuff we did see, but as far as Fallout 76, it's been predominantly Todd Howard as the face of it. So in some of the stuff, we actually get a little bit of a different perspective. We actually get some information, again, we haven't heard before, and I feel like it's a bit refreshing. So one of the first interesting questions this interviewer opens with is, well, now this is going to be an online survival game of sorts, will people be able to ruin my experience of this game? Pete Hines kind of responds saying that that's not really the goal of this. It's not meant to make it so the PvP is a major component of this. It's not meant to be a PvP focused game, but rather the goal of having all the other human NPCs as actual players is to actually create an unknown here. He goes on to describe that in Fallout 4, when you see a group of raiders, you immediately know how they will react to seeing you. In Fallout 76, there's meant to be this almost blank slate. When you see another group of players, you don't know if they're going to attack you, try and trade with you, or just totally ignore you. Then they move on to talking about nukes. That's going to be something new added in with this game. After doing a quest that is kind of meant to be late game, you actually can get access to a bunch of nuke codes and a subsequent nuke you can launch. In this, he says you can't nuke each other, but I believe he misspoke. I think he just means it's kind of hard to nuke other players or hard to actually get hit by a nuke. But he said that one, it's going to be immensely difficult to actually get the nuke itself, which I don't fully agree with. I mean, there are some people that are just going to grind out nukes the day this game comes out. I'm sure some of these nukes will be launched on November 14th, the release day. But even beyond that, when you actually have a nuke coming to your area, all the players in that area are notified of that incoming nuke. So that's pretty cool. Rather now than actually just instantly dying because you didn't know it was coming, it seems like you'll have a little bit of a window to actually get out of the way, and then after the area is irradiated, now creating a high level zone, you can go back over and continue doing whatever quest if you're a high enough level to actually get through that zone. And Pete goes on to kind of explain that the reason they included these nukes in the game aren't again to take down other players, but rather first for in-game quest. One thing they've actually touched on in some of these other videos or interviews is actually that there's going to be a late game kind of event or quest where scorched beasts are going to be coming out of their cavern, and the only way to stop them is with a nuke, or alternatively to again create one of those high level zones, mutating all the different enemies in that region so they are much higher level, and there's of course better loot also. So then Pete Hines actually goes on to talk a little bit more about the PvP, and there's going to be a revenge system with this game. So let's say you and another player are dueling and that other player does defeat you, you will have the opportunity to go back and get additional caps by getting revenge on him. This is really interesting to me because I feel like it's not the best mechanic in the game. If any of you guys have played GTA Online, you'll know that after someone takes you down, you like single that person out. You want to get revenge on them even with little to no incentive. And at least in that game, it kind of spirals things out of control into actually creating a bit of chaos in Los Santos. But then Pete Hines goes on to kind of address what I just mentioned, and that people are using a lot of preconceived notions about this game and that they're wrong about it. They're taking Fallout 76 and applying tropes or characteristics of other online survival games and making it fit into Fallout 76 when that's really not the way it's going to be. The one thing he addresses here is that a lot of people are assuming that when you go to different servers, you're going to have to like rebuild everything up and all your progress will be lost, but that's not the case. When you switch servers, all of your belongings will come with you, whether that be your settlement, everything you have in your inventory, things like that. He also goes on to say that you're actually going to have multiple available characters, so you'll be able to set up probably your main character and then a different character. This is something I was personally wondering about, and it was likely to be in the game, but now we have an official confirmation of it. And he says that it's going to be a constantly evolving game between now, when they're actually working on it internally, to the beta and after the beta, and then even the release of the game and after the release with subsequent subsequent updates. And this game is going to feature free small and large DLC. That is something that I'm a little bit iffy about. I personally have no problem paying for a lot of Bethesda's DLC, not Creation Club, but like the true DLC, Nuke World, Far Harbor. I have no problem dropping $15 on each of those. The fact that they're going free makes me feel like they're gonna have to make money off of those somewhere. I mean, I kind of get it because you want the online game to be universal. Everyone has all the same DLC. This, of course, is a company, and it already has been confirmed that it's going to feature microtransactions in the form of different aesthetic things. They haven't really specified what, but things that visually change your character, and I imagine it's going to be pretty heavy on those, maybe even featuring things like loot boxes or different kind of quest rewards. If they're spending all this time and money making large DLC and giving it away for free, they're definitely going to be making up their money somewhere else. And interestingly, something that I and a lot of other people are speculating is that the Starfield announcement was kind of thrown in there to alleviate the stress of an always online Fallout. And Pete kind of confirms that here, saying that he didn't want people to think this is the direction the company was going and that the next game still will be your traditional single player experience. Fallout 76 is going to be the one that's an outlier. And that's pretty much all the major takeaways from that. One other interesting thing we got though that I'll just kind of add on to the end of this video, something on Twitter that was posted is that actually, if you guys don't know, when you're in Fallout 76 and you open your map, you'll be able to see all of the other players presently on your server. It's something a lot of people are not happy about, but one way to address this is actually by sneaking. When you crouch in game, you will no longer be visible on the map until you of course stand back up again. I still don't like that mechanic. I think you should make players visible when they're shooting or just even in a proximity. There's a lot of other cool ways that you could do it other than just always visible on the map. Either way, that's pretty much everything about Fallout 76 that we've learned over the past few days. I will have links to both of those things down below if you want to watch either video. But with today's psychology fun fact of the day, I actually want to talk a little bit about this new kind of gamer disorder that you've probably been hearing about over the past 24 hours. So for a little background, the World Health Organization is actually a part of the United Nations. It's kind of like, imagine the CDC or the APA, any of the other kind of major health organizations that you do have. The major difference being the CDC and the APA in their research is done in the United States predominantly. The World Health Organization, on the flip side, is way more international and has funding and support from a lot of major countries. So the reason this is brought up is they actually released this thing called the ICD-11. If you ever heard of the DSM-5, this is very similar. The DSM-5 is definitely more well known, and more or less it's this big book released every few years by the American Psychological Organization, otherwise known as the APA, that features a breakdown of what exactly you need symptom-wise to be characterized or kind of classified in a mental health disorder. To simplify things, the ICD-11 is the same exact thing just for the WHO or World Health Organization. So they released the 11th version of this big book, and yeah, they reclassify things, maybe add in some new things such as gaming disorder. It's a fairly simple diagnosis. It's something that is pretty common with a lot of these types of things. I'll have a link to the actual thing down below where you could read the specific definition, but largely to simplify it, it's going to be that when gaming becomes maladaptive. And what that means is when you're playing video games to an extent where you forego other things in life, you stop functioning in society as you normally would. So let's say you're skipping meals in order to get in additional games. You stop interacting with other people to play video games more, and as a result lose those relationships. It doesn't necessarily just mean playing video games a lot, it's just that is typically a symptom of gaming disorder. A lot of people are incorrectly putting that around, saying that, oh yeah, if you just play a lot of video games, you have gaming disorder. No, it's when you play a lot of video games and it has maladaptive kind of effects on your life. Either way, that's it for that. That was kind of a longer one, but I haven't done a psych fun fact in a while, and this has been a hot topic over the past 24 hours. As always, again, I thank you all for watching. I hope to see you guys all next time, and yeah, later.